Hello, everyone, and welcome to April the 14th regular Town Council meeting of the Town of Vegreville. I call this meeting to order at 7:05. Looking for a motion to adopt the agenda. Councilor Curtis makes the motion. Is there any additions or deletions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Next up, I'll need a motion to adopt the minutes of the public hearing on March the 24th. Councilor Berry makes the motion. Is there any errors or omissions within those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. And I'll need a motion for the last March 24th council meeting minutes. Councilor Lemko makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried. First up, our supplemental CAO Ling.
Thank you, Your Worship. The topic of this request for council decision is the Rural Transit Solution Fund, Transportation Needs Assessment. On March 6, 2025, Town of Vegreville was notified by correspondence that the Transportation Committee was successful in their Rural Transit Solutions Fund grant application for the purpose of conducting a transportation needs assessment. The goal of this needs assessment is to identify current transportation challenges, assess the adequacy of existing transportation options, and understand future transportation needs based on community growth and changes. In order to move forward with the grant agreement, the Ministry of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities requires a resolution of council endorsing the project. The financial implications: the Town of Vegreville has been approved in principle for a federal grant of up to $50,000 to support the transportation needs assessment. Communication strategy: the Transportation Committee will be notified of the successful grant funding and will begin the process of creating a request for proposal to hire a consultant as outlined in the grant application. So the recommendation this evening is that Town Council endorses the Transportation Needs Assessment Project funded by the Rural Transit Solution Fund for a grant up to $50,000.
Okay, thank you. I'll take a motion for the recommendation. Councilor Bullock makes the motion. Any comments? Go ahead.
Well, this is good news because we didn't realize we were going to get any grant funding for the Transportation Committee to do any type of study at times. So it was good to hear that it came through, and I guess we can look forward to actually finding out of what we really need in the community. We know we're covered really well now with wheelchair accessible vans, with some businesses stepping up and taking that on, and that's really helped us out in that regard. So I guess it will be good to see what will come of this.
Okay, we'll go to Councilor Rudick next.
Yeah, the working group that has been bringing together different businesses, volunteers, and community members to be able to have these discussions have worked really well. We've done some good focused conversation, but we haven't gone to the next step, and so this grant will be helpful. And this will be due entirely to the efforts to our staff, Leslie Kucheravi, for submitting and writing the grant. So thank you very much, Leslie, for supporting the committee and making sure that all of our group was able to not only submit, but be successful. So thank you very much.
Okay, can somebody tell council what all this grant would cover? Because if the recommendation is that the town supplies a bus service, or it says that we need to take on the role of what some of these private businesses are already started for us, I just don't know what the end game would be here. That's what I'm trying to get to.
So at the danger of not necessarily pulling up the grant right now in real time out of my email, it is a needs assessment, which would mean that taking a look at the businesses that are offering service to the community, as well as the needs of residents and businesses that are not currently providing van or transport service, to be able to see what the need is. So that's something that we haven't been able to conduct other than anecdotal. We don't have data that would demonstrate another need. So our committee has brought together some local businesses, and they've been able to, during the course of our conversations, actually provide other services to the community to be able to offload some of the patients that are at the hospital, for example, and ensure that we're not using ambulances unnecessarily or stranding patients there. So we have some good anecdotal relationships that have been very productive, but this grant is specifically intended to do a needs assessment of what else could be offered, and who else could potentially offer it would be a different situation. So it's not a prescription saying that the town of Vegreville needs to provide X, Y, and Z. Rather, it would be identifying that this group is not being served completely by the transportation needs. And this might be where, for example, we have residents that might want to be traveling outside of the community for non-medical purposes, whether that be for recreation or for pleasure. But our committee has not really addressed those needs because that hasn't been the scope of our conversation to this point, because we don't have the capacity to be able to do that research. So ultimately, the responsibility will not come back to the municipality unless we chose to assume that responsibility. And I think we've already demonstrated that we've got multiple businesses that are very interested in expanding their services and making sure that they're meeting the needs of the community. So might actually be a good way to continue our partnership, where we are able to meet the needs and the wishes of our citizens without actually absorbing an inordinate amount of cost or responsibility.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Bullock.
And it might also entice some of the businesses to come back to our committee that felt that they weren't being addressed by the committee as much. This is probably going to help that, I would say, maybe bring them some interest, see how they could possibly expand their business to go further with this. Because I don't think the municipality is prepared to actually run a transportation type system.
Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, my concern on that, or to follow up on it, would be I'm hoping it's not a study just to do a study, to get an assessment, just to have an assessment. I would hope that it could lead to other grants or other fundings that would come to the municipality, because even if there was a need expressed, it probably would be beyond what the municipality itself could afford anyway. And it would probably be taking us out of our actual role as to what municipality should be involved in. So I'm hoping that the assessment will lead to something, but maybe lead to either other businesses stepping in and doing something, or other grants being available to help with that. Because I can't see the taxpayers here putting up a bus service.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, and part of that too, like to your point, Councillor Barry, is making sure that we're meeting the needs of residents that potentially aren't here yet either. So if we have a group, we've talked about this previously, when we need to bring in workers that might be outside of the community to come to work at a certain employer. Some employers might feel comfortable running their own service, transportation service, but it may come to a point where we need to be able to transport workers or students around the community. And at this point, we're not at that point, but we could be. And it wouldn't take much to be able to realize that none of us have the capacity to be able to scope that out. So it would be step one in the next step of process that would take some time.
Okay, well, like I said, if the recommendation is as there's another need out there that we haven't identified, maybe it's an opportunity for private sector to step in. But I'm really hoping it doesn't go back and say that municipalities should be looking at taking this on, because we don't have the capacity to do that. So, okay, so all those in favor of the recommendation? Thank you. Next up, electoral assistant terminals.
Thank you, Your Worship. This letter is from the Honorable Rick McIver, Minister of Municipal Affairs. It reads, Dear Chief Elected Officials, as you are aware, changes to the Local Authority Election Act, LAEA, in Bill 20, the Municipal Affairs Statutes Amendment Act 2024, came into force October 31st, 2024. One of these changes prohibits the use of tabulators, voting machines, voting recorders, and automatic voting systems in local elections. This change inadvertently created a lack of clarity regarding whether electoral assistant terminals, EATs, would be permitted in upcoming local elections. As you may know, an EAT is an assistive voting machine that enables electors with visual or physical disabilities to vote independently and privately. EATs are not connected to the internet or another network and create a paper ballot that records the vote cast by the elector. EATs were offered in some local jurisdictions in the 2021 general elections and electors in the 2023 provincial general election. Our government is planning to bring forward LAEA amendments in the spring of 2025 to clarify that local authorities may, by bylaw, offer EATs to electors. In order to offer EATs in the 2025 general local elections, a local authority will be required to pass a bylaw by June 30th, 2025. If you have any questions regarding this upcoming change, please reach out to Municipal Affairs staff by telephone or via email. Sincerely, Rick McIver, Minister of Municipal Affairs.
I'll look for a motion to receive and file. Thank you, Councillor Roa. Any comments? All those in favor? Carried. Thanks. Next up, we have another letter from Minister McIver, and it's addressed to Dear Mayor McPhee. Thank you for submitting your municipality's grant application under the 2025 Fire Services Training Program. I am pleased to inform you the town of Vegreville has been approved for a grant of $11,810 to carry out training as outlined in the forthcoming conditional grant agreement. Though the Fire Services Training Program, the FSTP, through the Government of Alberta provides $500,000 amongst eligible fire departments to offset the cost of training their members. However, in response to feedback gathered during the 2024 Fire Service Review, the Government of Alberta has increased the FSTP funding to $1 million for the 24-25 fiscal year. The conditional grant agreement will be sent separately to your Chief Administrating Officer to obtain the appropriate signatures. Once the conditional grant agreement has been signed by the Municipal Affairs, the grant funds will be distributed and a final signed copy of the conditional grant agreement will be emailed to your municipality for your records. Municipal Affairs will be working with the FSTP working group to review the grant evaluation criteria and approval process for potential enhancements in future years. If you have any questions regarding the grant process or the conditional grant agreement, please contact the grants coordinator. Thank you for your important work and dedication to the safety of individuals in your community. Sincerely, Rick McIver. Okay, I'll take a motion to receive and file on that. Councillor Curtis makes the motion. Any discussion? Let's ask Manager Newton, do you think that'll cover the cost of the training for our members this year?
The request that was put in was through our training deputy chief, and he has identified 3 courses that he is going to be teaching in-house, so that will help out on a rather good basis in that aspect of things. And those 3 courses that he's identified will hopefully continue on with our services in a better light. And one of them is a leadership training course for all senior members, so we'll have that available as well. So we're moving forward.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Next up, CAO Ling, you've got the Honorable Mike Ellis.
Thank you, Your Worship. This next letter is from the Honorable Mike Ellis, Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Services. And the letter is addressed to me. It says, Dear Ms. Ling, thank you for your letter of March 13th, 2025 regarding a request to withdraw from the Eastern Alberta Regional Policing Committee. I appreciate the opportunity to respond. The Police Amendment Act passed in December of 2022 and the Police Amendment Act passed in December of 2022 and includes measures that will increase transparency, accountability, and civilian involvement in policing. The legislation creates formal governance bodies for communities policed by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in Alberta, giving them a mandatory role in setting policing priorities and performance goals that they did not previously have. The legislation in this area, which also includes the Police Governance Regulation and the Police Governance Ministerial Regulation, came into force on March 1st, 2025. The act states that that communities with a population under 15,000 with municipal RCMP contracts will be represented by regional governance bodies. It further explains that those communities can opt out and form their own municipal policing committees with the approval of the minister. I understand you wish to opt out of the Eastern Alberta Regional Policing Committee and form a municipal policing committee for the town of Vegreville. I acknowledge and support the town's request. The new municipal policing committee will be responsible to ensure alignment of its duties and functions with Section 4, subsection 2 of the governance regulation, and my ministry will work with you to ensure these standards are met. Please continue to keep my ministry's contract policing and policing oversight unit informed about your progress in this matter. The unit will be pleased to work with you as you establish your municipal policing committee, and they welcome any questions you may have. The Police Governance Ministerial Regulation states that a municipality may appoint between 3 and 7 members to a municipal policing committee. In the coming months, once the town's municipal appointments have been finalized, I may proceed with adding provincial appointees to your municipal policing committee. Ministry staff will be in touch with your office and/or the Vegreville Municipal Policing Committee when that provincial appointment process is initiated. The number of provincial appointees will depend on the municipal bylaw that describes the composition and size of the Vegreville Municipal Policing Committee. Thank you for everything you do to help keep Alberta's communities safe and secure, and for your commitment and excellence in civilian governance. I look forward to continuing our strong working relationship. Sincerely, Honorable Mike Ellis, Deputy Premier of Alberta, Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Services.
Okay, I'll take a motion to receive and file. Councillor Lemko makes the motion. Any comments? Go ahead, Councillor Warwick.
I guess I would just want to say that I think over our time, it would be fair probably to say that each and every one of us as council has received calls or concerns when it comes to crime in our community. And we've answered back every time saying that we know that this isn't a simple solution, that all levels of government have to be involved in it. And we recognize that involvement at this level isn't automatically fixing our problems. It doesn't stop our need to advocate to the province for resources and fairness when it comes to costing to our municipality, especially when we bear the burden sometimes of outside areas, outside of Vegreville. It doesn't change the need to continue to advocate on a federal level because, quite frankly, the justice system is a huge problem that's going to impact us. But I hope that this does resonate with residents, that we've heard them and that we're doing what we can, doing our own due diligence and saying that we would want to be an active voice in, sharing the concerns and the needs of our area. And if nothing else, I would hope that people would recognize while we can't individually solve the problem, our voice for what's best for Vegreville is going to be a heck of a lot better than what a board away from us would be.
My comment would be, how are we doing?
We're doing well. The draft bylaw and the policy were introduced to council at the ledge meeting, so they're coming back at the next legislative meeting for discussion. We have been in contact with the minister's office. We do have some we have received some information on our questions, and we're still waiting on a few other ones, but we hope to have all of that information for the next ledge.
And what's the date that this committee needs to be up and running?
The committee members have to pass an enhanced security clearance through the RCMP, so that could take up to 90 days. So we're hoping to have the bylaw passed at the council meeting on the 28th of April, and then we'll start advertising for committee members and hopefully have those members going through their security checks by the end of May. And then we're waiting on those clearances to come in.
And is there any recommendation on how often and when the meetings would take place?
The bylaw is written that they would be quarterly.
Quarterly? And 2 appointees from the government of Alberta would be on that committee?
Yes, council has discussed having 6 members on the committee, so the province has the ability to appoint 2. It looks like If you go through their formula, it seems for every 3 committee members, they will appoint 1. So with 6, they should be appointing 2.
So we are looking at 3 from council,
There was
Or
talk
is it
of 4 for council,
4 from council,
2 members at large, and then the 2
from the government.
2 from the government, or 2 provincial appointments. We have discovered that they may not necessarily be government employees.
Oh, just appointed from the government.
Yes.
Was that one of the questions that was asked? Like,
The minister has the ability to appoint 2 people to the, or has the ability to appoint provincial members, depending on how many they feel they need to appoint. And they will be appointed by the government. They can be vetted by council, but they don't necessarily have to be government employees. They could be from other government boards that they sit on. They could have applied to the province for any of the regional committees, that type of thing.
well, since we are gonna be taking up most of the seats, maybe we should come up with what time of the day works for councilors that wanna be on this committee. Go ahead, Councilor Barry.
Thank you, Worship. One of the questions we did have was, are these appointees from the government voting members?
Yes, they are,
They are, but,
yes.
okay.
So I would be safe in saying that the future 4 on council that would be on this committee would like it after work, like after the working hours? That would be something that we would find acceptable?
I'd prefer after work, that'd be great, or late in the afternoon as possible.
Or you would, and you would too?
Depends on the day of the week.
And our staff sergeant would be involved in these as well?
Yes, or an officer in charge. It doesn't necessarily have to be the staff
Be a
sergeant.
corporal.
He could delegate to a corporal.
Okay, so, the names from council will be provided next ledge.
And that's fine. We have to,
Well, the ones that can pass a security check then.
we won't, we don't officially need them till after we pass the bylaw.
Okay. But that would be a recommendation from council, that it would be a lot easier for members of council if it was non-working hours, the regular working hours. So we'll think about it, and whoever has a real strong desire to be on this committee. And the meetings always take place within the town limits?
Yes, it'll be wherever council decides that they want the meetings held.
Is there any other questions regarding the committee before the next ledge meeting? Okay, all those in favor, thank you. Next up, we have a letter. Dear Mayor McPhee and members of council, this is regarding the Vegreville Fire Services Club Training Center expansion update. On behalf of the Vegreville Fire Service Club, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to the town of Vegreville for your continued support of our training center project. As you are aware, in the spring of 2024, thanks to the generous community contributions and a strong partnership with the town of Vegreville, we successfully completed phase 1 of our training center. This phase included the installation of 3 customized engineered sea cans, significantly enhancing our training capabilities in firefighting and smoke-filled environments, high-angle rescue, search and rescue, and sprinkler system operations. We are pleased to provide an update on our progress as we move forward with phase 2 of the project. This phase will include the installation of a 4 sea can procured locally from AA trailers and fully funded by our club. It will be secured to the south portion of the existing training center to enhance search and rescue and confined spaces training. Additionally, we will be introducing propane-fueled training props, which will be placed at least 50 feet from any property lines and are equipped with multiple safety features, including shut-off valves and a dead man switch. To further support training operations, we plan to replace a 30-foot by 50-foot section of the existing gravel pad with paved concrete, preventing erosion caused by repeated high-pressure water suppression training. This update will be completed by local contractors and fully funded by the club. As with all of our training incentives, these enhancements will comply with NFPA 1403 standards to ensure safety and effectiveness. With the necessary funding secured and plans in place, we anticipate moving forward with the construction later this spring as weather conditions permit. We appreciate council's ongoing support and will continue to keep you informed as the project progresses. Sincerely, Braden Ferguson, President of the Vegreville Fire Service Club. Oh, that was nice. Okay, I'll take a motion to receive and file. Oh, Councillor Lemko makes the motion. Any comments? Well, it's nice to see that the next step of their project is moving forward, so. I see them using the existing trading portions of 3C cans quite a bit. Maybe Manager Newton, do we assist other municipalities or other fire halls with training with our facility?
None at this time, other than Minburn County has taken a few courses with us, and they've had the opportunity to go in through the center. Lamont County does have one, so that would be our neighbor to the west, and I believe Tofield recently just came up to us to take a look at our facility to either partnership with us or to start their own as well. We are more concerned about getting everything in place for our members at this particular time, but it is a goal that we have on our radar to possibly add that out to more people.
Any other comments? All those in favor? Carried. And one more, CAO Ling.
Thank you, Your Worship. This letter is addressed to Dear Mayor and Town Council. My name is Patricia Toma. I live with my husband at the Horizon Village Complex, and our address is 4839 47th Avenue. We have been living in Vegreville since July of 2022. That summer, there was a fire across the street that had started in a backyard garage at one of the two abandoned houses on 47th Avenue. It was unknown at the time how the fire was started, and I do not know if it ever was determined who or how or why. All I know is that the fire consumed a garage and partially destroyed the neighbor on the corner's garage, which was later demolished. The large spruce trees between the two lots were burnt right up to the house on the corner, and by some divine intervention, the house was saved and is occupied to this day. I watched all this happen and was concerned for my own home across the street as there was a strong wind blowing on that day. The Vegreville Fire Department was and is commended for their efforts to save the house on the corner from going up in flames. There was a rumor that squatters or drug addicts had taken up residence in both of these abandoned houses and have probably started the garage fire. I really want to be able to say that since that fire in 2022, there haven't been any issues regarding 4710 and 4906 47th Avenue. However, the issues around these two derelict properties have been ongoing. Firstly, the two properties are a gathering place for some of Vegreville's young people to hang out. Since 2022, youths have been seen in and out and around the two houses. The houses were boarded up haphazardly, one last year and one just a few days ago after 4710 was vandalized by a roaming group of teens on the morning at 4:45 on April 6. My husband and I were awakened to the sound of our front door being kicked, and our next door neighbors were awakened by insistent ringing of their front doorbell. We have a security camera which caught some of the action, and there was a fairly decent video of the youth coming to kick our door. The youths then went across to the abandoned houses and proceeded to break all the windows in 4710. I had stopped a group of youths who were throwing rocks at the open upstairs window at 4906 on the evening of April 3rd. I went out on the sidewalk in front of my house and hollered at them to stop throwing rocks and to move on. They did leave after approximately 10 minutes of walking around the two houses and standing on sidewalks. I am thinking the door kicking and the doorbell ringing might have been some kind of retribution for my stopping them on the 3rd. The RCMP have indicated that they have caught the group who did the damage during the middle of the night rampage on the 6th. Bylaw has also been notified. Secondly, I do a lot of walking for exercise around our neighborhood. Several times in the last 3 years, I have noticed young people hanging out on the Lion Spray Park and the abandoned houses sometimes during the day, but mostly when it's dark. I've been witness to teens using the playground equipment while families are sitting and watching the young people commandeer the playground. I've also been witness to a father arguing with the teens to get off the playground equipment so that his young children could play on it. The teens were very foul-mouthed and belligerent and threatened to harm the man, who then took his children and left the area. I believe the town and property owners have an obligation to make 47th Avenue a safer place for everyone to be able to enjoy their surroundings, and especially for families to enjoy the Spray Park area. I suggest to the mayor and town council that if this is occurring in the area where they live, would they not want something done about this kind of nuisance? I would ask that mayor and council to work with property owners to get those houses demolished and maybe plant grass there at the very least. Maybe the park could be extended through purchase of those 2 properties by the town and perhaps local groups or businesses. Maybe a basketball court could be set up, which might serve to be a more appropriate place for youth to spend their time. Maybe businesses in town could donate some work or money towards the expense of the demolition. Maybe more patrols can be made at appropriate times, i.e. during the weekends and at night and during the summer holidays when the youth are out and about. Maybe better lighting could be installed so the night area it's well lit up. Maybe there could be a picnic area set up if those derelict houses were not a blight to the area. Maybe mayor and council need to exercise the powers that they have in dealing with abandoned properties and negligent homeowners in our town. I am hoping that council will seriously think about and act upon this ongoing concern, and hopefully will be able to bring it to a positive conclusion. The boarding up of these 2 houses will not deter people who want to gain entry. All it would take is a crowbar in the middle of the night and they would be inside. All it would take is for someone to drop a lit cigarette or a match inside through the space between the boards, and the fire department will be fighting yet another fire there that could have conceivably also consumed the home on the corner too. I thank you for listening, and I feel confident that mayor and council will regard this as an ongoing and dangerous issue in our community that will finally get the attention it deserves. Best regards, Patricia Toma.
Okay, thank you. Take a motion to receive and file. Councillor Berry makes the motion. Any comments? Councillor Bullock.
I'd like to thank Patricia for sending the letter. What you might not be aware of is that council's been working pretty hard on derelict homes in the past few years. Even when I first became on council, they were working on derelict homes previous to this council. And there has been positive results to derelict properties being torn down in the past couple of years already. And I do believe that Manager Newton can enlighten what's happening with these 2 properties here right away.
Any other comments? Councillor Lemko.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I think at the same time, Manager Newton maybe can explain that there is a process in order to get derelict properties taken to the ground. It's not something that council just does with businesses and local members of the community. And I think Manager Newton can probably enlighten the public a little more on the process that it takes to get this stuff done.
Thank you. Councillor Lumko, we follow the MGA when it comes to demolishing the homes, so we have certain powers under the sections to allow us to do that. Since I've taken over the department in late of 2023, we have identified homes across the board, across the town, and we are addressing those homes on a regular basis. Last year, we concentrated on the north end of Vegreville, and we started already in the south of Vegreville this year. Those 2 homes that are identified in the letter here from Ms. Toma are on our radar, and we are addressing that. I believe there is other work that's being done there that I can't personally discuss myself at this time, but I can see a resolution there sooner rather than later, Your Worship.
Go ahead, Councillor Rudick.
So I'm not certain that Mrs. Toma has followed up with the RCMP or is aware that there were some arrests made on Friday evening, actually. So I think it might be due in part to her awareness that there's some unruly behavior happening in the evenings, and the RCMP are aware that there are some shenanigans going on, for lack of a better term. And I guess it requires the work of community too. So we'll use the tools that we have at our disposal to be able to assist and ensure that everybody has the best quality neighborhood that they possibly can with the tools that we have at our ready, working in concert with Manager Newton, our bylaws that we might be able to enact through some of our staff, but also with the assistance of the police, but requires diligence of residents as well. So thank you very much for her reaching out, and we'll continue to ensure that we've got comfortable, safe surroundings for her and the other residents of Vegreville.
Go ahead, Councillor Woba.
Obviously, I completely agree with my colleagues in that wanting to always thank somebody for bringing forward their concern, and then also Manager Newton for explaining a little bit of the process. But of course, while the MGA does allow for it, it is really important, though, to be clear that, like, for council, we would like to make a motion on it and have it done tomorrow. But that MGA has many steps. It takes a good amount of time, and there's a bit of a process. So, I just want her to know that we definitely are frustrated too when it comes to these. I mean, that's why it has been discussed so many times at council and became set forward as one of the priorities that was brought through to Manager Newton. And, I understand it's happening in this area, and I would just say, living on the other side of town, we've had quite a bit in our area too. It's an unfortunate trend that is happening not only in Vegreville, but through a lot of communities. And the sad reality is, while I completely agree that, there's the idea of, can we expand spaces and maybe offer some opportunities that would be better for youth of that age. We have spoken through FCSS during our times in different spots, and they've done a lot to try and reach out to people to find out what could be offered. The sad reality is, a lot of these people that are involved, or this youth that are involved in this, they wouldn't use a facility even that we're putting forward. In fact, the sad reality to that is they also are the ones that have been involved in vandalism of facilities, like in skateboard parks and other areas. So I think all of us doing exactly what she's doing, reporting it when we can, getting that information to police officers, us lighting up areas, the more people that have what she did, which was, camera doorbells, and just getting that information out and sharing it, that's really helpful from the community. And I just think we're going to have to all keep solving it together. But it is unfortunate. I'm not really an understanding of this because I'm not sure how so many teenagers just are roaming. There wasn't a lot of roaming, at least going on in our household, where I didn't know where they were. So I would hope that more people also take responsibility for where their teenagers are. That's all.
Well, to Mrs. Toma, I would just like to let you know that I know that you're frustrated. I can tell where it says that we will finally get some attention that it deserves. I would like you to understand that council has known about these derelict properties in town for a long time. And like Manager Newton and some of our council has brought up here already, we're very limited in what we can do. We just recently passed a new bylaw regarding a subclass of residential housing for derelict properties. So 4 timesing the taxes on these properties, although that's not 100% 4 times, it could be 3 times. This way we feel that we can either get these properties tore down and back on the market for some infill housing, or that the town can take them over faster for a tax forfeiture. Myself personally, I know both the owners of those houses, and I know they have both filed for demolition permits, and I know that I've driven around there many times, every time it snowed this year, to see if there was tracks going in and out. Made the RCMP and bylaw aware, plus the owners, that somebody was in those properties. We have seen constantly over the summer that these roaming, you call youth groups, hanging around the splash park, smashing things, causing nothing but a lot of vandalism. So we would hope that by the fall we will see some residential properties going up on these, what will soon be vacant properties. So we thank you for your letter, and I want everybody in the community to know that there's not too much that's going on in town that we don't know about. If there's a derelict home and there's somebody in it, we are using every power that we have that's very limited at times at what we can do. But where we see an opportunity, like I just explained to you, the subclass in the tax bylaw for derelict homes, where we can get those things tore down faster, we will do it. So, thank you for your call, or for your letter. All those in favor? Carried. Next up, no financials? Okay. You got nothing on here at all? Great. Good for you. Okay, next up, Jameson Brown from our seed department.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. This request for council decision is a proposal to approve GOV-1017 Community Engagement Policy. The background on the matter is at the April 8th, 2025 Legislative Committee meeting, Town Council received draft GOV-1017 Community Engagement Policy for review. This policy aims to provide staff and stakeholders with a framework that outlines use of the town of Vegreville branding as well as standards for both internal and external communications. Additionally, it establishes the criteria for when public engagement should be used to support decision-making related to the development or modification of programs, services, or initiatives, or when required by legislation. Should this be approved, there are no financial implications. And again, should this policy be approved, the communication strategy would be that it would be shared through a level 1 public engagement process, including a publication on the town's website. Managers will be responsible for informing their staff about the new policy and the associated standards. The recommendation from administration at this time is that Town Council rescind policies GOV-1004 Communications Policy, GOV-1005 Media Relations Policy, GOV-1007 Public Engagement Policy, and GOV-1011 Council Meeting Video Policy, and further, that Town Council approve GOV-1017 Community Engagement Policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Looking for a motion for the recommendation. Councillor Bullock makes the motion. Any discussion? Councillor Curtis.
Thank you very much. Happy to see that we can combine all these into one nice, easy to find policy. I think it makes a lot of sense, and I think it's written very well, so glad to see this come across.
Okay, all those in favor? Carried. And you have one more, Mr. Jameson.
I do. Apparently I do. Is it? Okay. It's a repeat? It's the same thing? Okay. Ditto. Do I have to?
No, that was a mistake on my part.
Oh, no? So,
You don't have another one.
I do not have another one, Your
Oh, I
Worship.
thought
Thank you.
this one had something to do with, or strictly about the video for these meetings. Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. So we won't have to vote on that one again. Okay, next up, Manager Newton.
Thank you, Your Worship. Today is a request for the approval of MOS 2012 Enforcement Complaint Policy. Your background is in recognition of the need for a structured approach to managing complaints. Administration has developed the MOS 2012 Enforcement Complaint Policy. This policy aims to standardize the response to complaints, to delineate the types of issues into which the department will respond, and safeguard against the misuse of resources. At the April 8th Legislative Committee meeting, administration presented the policy for review and discussion. There are no financial implicants involved with adopting the MOS 2012 policy, and our communication strategy is once approved, the updated policy will be shared on the Town of Vegreville website, and administration will inform all staff of the implementation. A recommendation today, Your Worship, is that Town Council approve the MOS 2012 Enforcement Complaint Policy.
Thank you. Looking for a motion for the recommendation. Councillor Berry makes the motion. Any conversation, any thoughts? Go ahead, Councillor Rudy.
Thank you very much for providing this. I think just based on the letter that we had from a member of the public just in this meeting alone, I think it's helpful for our public to realize that we do take these concerns that they raise seriously and also ensure that there is a process in place for something like this. One thing that I thought about after we discussed this last meeting, Manager Newton, and maybe this doesn't need an answer right away, I'm just wondering, there is some description here about a consideration of how busy the department might be at the time, how serious the complaint might be, et cetera, would be at the end of the documentation explaining how the complaint is followed up on. I just wonder if there is a requirement there to let the public member know that, for example, if it's taking longer or if it's something that's outside of our jurisdiction, do we have the expectation that we would be informing people that lodge a complaint that there is an answer to each of those concerns so that we have an asked and answered approach to these kind of complaints?
Yes, Councillor, where it specifically says where the resources are available to resolve the complaint, it depends on the situation, and it's situational based on every avenue. Like you said, if we have the means or the opportunity to address it, we will. But a lot of that, as well as if it's we have a person calling about 25 different homes, right, all at once. We might not have the resources that day or that week to address it, but we always keep our complainants in the loop of what's going on. We do our best. Also, as well, if it's not a high priority call, we may not address it on that day as well, but we will address every high priority call. When I say a high priority call, I do mean like a dog attack. We will drop everything to make sure that that's addressed right off the bat if we have staff in town at the time.
I think the big thing that that this doesn't answer the question is when they don't get the answer they want from municipal enforcement, what should they do? They should just call a counselor, right?
I'll call you.
Well, I know this. I mean, I'm glad that you have this here, and hopefully that no matter what, I would imagine there's frivolous calls time and time again, with some people, but that we do try our best to answer. But it's after it's been through the process, and if you guys write a ticket or you express to them what the bylaw is and why they're why you know they're breaking the bylaw, it's the next step, because a lot of people feel that they need to break a bylaw, or that they shouldn't be, the bylaw should have nothing to do with them. And I'm just being lighthearted here because I know what happens when they get the answer that they don't want. They usually reach out to one of us. And then we have to phone. And then most of the time, your department explains really well to us why they didn't get the answer they wanted, or why they have to move something or change things. So we do appreciate that. But go ahead.
I guess the only thing I would just say to that is, I understand you have to be dealing with things on priority. I think for a lot of people too, it's getting some level, always making sure that there's some level of answer or acknowledge, even if it's not what they wanted. Because I know that sometimes then people are like, well, did they even get it? Where did it go, right? Even if sometimes it's like, thank you, it has been received. They may not get what they want from it, but at least there's some, some setup so that people know that it actually was received. Because I've had people say to me before, well, what happens when it goes? Do we know? So always hearing back that at least it in some way was, received, whether we're able to do something with it or not. I think that's a big thing to people. And of course, they have to understand that when you make a report, that doesn't mean you're privy to automatically knowing the outcomes because of certain, FOIP and other regulations.
Go ahead.
In response to Councillor Warwar's comment there, we do want to make sure that everybody is aware that we do have a 24-hour complaint line, and 98% of that time, that complaint line is answered. When I say 98% of the time, they're also a 911 center, so they could be dealing with other issues. As long as they leave a message, we get that information sent to us on a regular basis, via radio, email, or phone call, depending on priority again, right? With that as well, is we do our best that we will acknowledge that person, we will phone that person and advise them we have received your call, we'll look into it at the very least, right? a lot of times too, there are bylaws that are complaints regarding bylaw that come to us that we can't address. There is no specific bylaw regarding what their issue might be. Smoke, for example, is one that we just recently received. People living in trailers, there is no bylaw that says otherwise at this time, right? This is where recommendations come in to council as well to change some of those bylaws when we see the need to do that. So we are doing our best to acknowledge everybody and all their needs, and we continue on with that.
Go ahead, Councillor Bullock.
Agree with everybody, what they've had to say. I guess these calls are gonna come into council no matter what, some of the stuff, we're gonna hear about whatever and stuff. It's not, we don't wanna discourage anybody, of course, but sometimes you're gonna get the answer from municipal service, or from municipal services about, the answer you might not like, and by all means, we signed up for it here, we're gonna take it, I'm sure, so. My number's out there, you can use it.
Go ahead, Manager Newton.
One thing I'd also like to address that's also in the policy, we do get a lot of calls from anonymous people that don't want to give us additional information as well, so we can't necessarily address some of those bylaws as well. The reason why we collect that information, so we can contact the complainant back, and if they don't provide that, they assume nothing has been done, right? One of the things is, again, it might not even be part of the bylaw, unfortunately, or a bylaw that we can address. So people get frustrated and may contact you guys that we haven't done anything, but we were unable to call those people back. We also encourage people, and it's also stated in this policy as well, is if you're going to provide us with a complaint, then we need to follow up on those complaints as well. So a large example is dogs coming into my yard. Yes, we'll go down there, we'll give them an initial warning if we don't see the offense ourselves. If you want anything done after that, then you have to provide us with evidence or witness statements and say, yes, we're willing to go to court, because then we can address the issue firsthand moving forward. But unless we see the violation ourselves, a lot of times we can't do anything, and people get frustrated. I got a call the other day from a woman that called me 4 times that we're not doing anything. Again, explain the steps to them, they wouldn't proceed with those steps.
Again, I mean, is there an obligation from municipal enforcement after a complaint is lodged that you have to get back to the complainant and tell them if there was charges or a warning, or that you talked to the offending person and things were handled? Do you have to tell the complainant exactly what went on?
No, when it comes to charges, again, that'll come down to a FOIP thing, but we encourage people to provide us that information, so if we need to lay charges, we can, but we don't necessarily say. We usually give them a call back and basically give them a follow-up that we have addressed the issue at the very least, or if we can address the issue.
Okay. Okay, so we have a recommendation here. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. CAO Ling, you're up next.
Thank you, Your Worship. The next request for council decision is to appoint a returning officer. So the proposal is to appoint a returning officer for the Town of Vegreville general municipal election to be held on October 20th, 2025. The next general municipal elections are to be held on October 20th, 2025. Section 13, subsection 1 of the Local Authorities Election Act states that an elected authority may, by resolution, appoint a returning officer for the purposes of conducting an election under this act. The returning officer should be appointed well in advance of the election day, as there are certain requirements which must be completed before the election. Administration advertised for the position on in the February 26 issue of the News Advertiser and on the Town of Vegreville social media channels. Of all the applicants, administration has selected Miss Jenny Cooper for the position of returning officer for the 2025 general municipal election. The communication strategy: the returning officer's name and town supplied email address and mobile number will be listed on our election 2025 webpage. Any election advertisements generated by the town will have the returning officer's name and contact information as well. So the recommendation before you is that Town Council appoint Miss Jenny Cooper as the returning officer for the Town of Vegreville general municipal election to be held on October 20th, 2025.
Thank you. Make a motion for the recommendation. Counselor Lemko makes the motion. Any discussion? Hope everybody's aware that Mrs. Cooper was the returning officer for the first time at our last municipal election, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Ms. Cooper was the returning officer for the 2021 election.
Any comments? I'm glad to hear that she let her name stand for that position. All those in favor? Carried. Looks like you're looking for a substitute returning officer already.
Yes. This particular RCD is to appoint a substitute returning officer for the Town of Vegreville General Municipal Election to be held on October 20th, 2025. The next municipal general elections are to be held on October 20th, 2025. Section 13, subsection 2.1 of the Local Authorities Election Act states that an elected authority may, by resolution, appoint a substitute returning officer by June 30th of the year in which the election occurs. A substitute returning officer is appointed to exercise all the duties, functions, and powers of a returning officer in case of illness, absence, or other incapacity of the returning officer. The substitute returning officer should be appointed well in advance of election day, as there are certain requirements which must be completed before the election. Ms. Natalia Toroshenko has been approached and has accepted the position of substitute returning officer for the 2025 general municipal election. In communication strategy, the substitute returning officer's name, along with the town-supplied election email contact information, will be listed on our Elections 2025 webpage. So the recommendation is that Town Council appoint Ms. Natalia Toroshenko as a substitute returning officer for the Town of Vegreville general municipal election to be held on October 20th, 2025.
Thank you. Take a motion for the recommendation. Councilor Roy makes the motion. Any comments?
Yes, thank you.
Well, I would like to say that Mrs. Toroshenko has been, I think, over to the Ukraine for elections and worked in this capacity. So she very qualified.
She should be able to handle VEG.
Yeah. Okay, and we appreciate Mrs. Toroshenko putting her name forward like that. So, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, now the big one.
All right. The next request for council decision is to amend the 2025 council calendar for July, August, and December meetings. Historically, council decreases the amount of council meetings that are held during July, August, and December. Both summer months and December are not particularly busy time legislatively. The decrease in meetings allows for both council and administration to book time off without missing one or more meetings. In the past few years, council has opted to hold one legislative committee meeting and one council meeting in July and August, and cancel the second legislative committee meeting and council meeting in December for the holiday season. Administration provided a recommendation for the amended meeting dates at the April 8th Legislative Committee meeting. This is being brought back for the consideration after council has had an opportunity to review their calendars. And the communication strategy is once council has determined which or if any meetings are canceled and or moved, the new dates will be placed on the council calendar on the town's website. So the recommendation being brought forth by administration is that town council amend the 2025 council calendar for July, August, and December meetings to include the following. Legislative committee meetings to be held on July 15th and August 12th, 2025. Council meetings to be held on July 21st and August 19th, 2025.
18.
Is it 18? Yes, it's 18, sorry. And cancel meetings on December 16th and 22nd, 2025.
Okay, so I'll need a motion before we can talk on this. Okay, well, Councilor Ridley's gonna make a motion, and she would like to speak first.
This amendment looks fine. I just won't be able to attend the July meetings because I will be away from the 14th to the 21st, exactly when those two meetings are, but there will be enough of the other colleagues here, I'm sure, to
Well,
carry on the charge, but
let's just talk about it. Does anybody else end up missing either 2 meetings in a row because of their summer schedule?
Not 2 meetings in a row, no.
Okay, well,
it's just me. It's fine. It's all good. I won't tune in from Mexico.
you would go to Mexico in July?
It's the only time we can get everybody together, so yes.
You're gonna fry.
Oh, yeah. Well, you see how well I tan, Your Worship, so.
Sorry.
Well, I guess then, we'll just go ahead with the recommendation if you're all good with that. I mean, is there anybody any conflict on these dates? Does anybody feel that, I mean, this is the way we've run it for a few years now, right? Where they push the meetings till the end of the month?
Yeah, for the last, well, it's been quite a while now. They usually, around the middle towards the end of the month is where council will have the meetings.
Okay. If that's the case, all those in favor of the recommendation? Perfect.
All right, thank you.
So I gather you want us to put in our potential days we're gone as soon as possible, just so that everybody knows.
Well, I mean, if there is some conflict that we're gonna have 2 or 3 members missing
Yeah.
from a meeting, then we'd have to notify the public and give them at least a week's notice, correct?
That's correct. It's 48 hours notice, actually.
Oh, 48,
Yeah,
okay.
so, yeah, the meeting times are changeable. We just like to give advance notice, and that way, if we have delegations coming as well, we can plan and set those dates and times.
Okay, well, we're good for now. Next up, we have bylaw 03/2025, Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board bylaw.
All right, I will take this one. Okay, so the bylaw before you is the Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board bylaw. The memo was brought forward to the legislative meeting last Tuesday. The changes in the bylaw are pretty much just, there are more changes, just making sure that it's the right department names, because of course it went from community services to the seed department. It went from the tourism and culture coordinator to the tourism coordinator. The one change in here that actually has to do with the actual rules of the bylaw is the previous bylaw said that tourism, like board members weren't allowed to miss 3 meetings. Now it's 3 consecutive meetings to make it a little bit better, as they have 8 meetings in a year. Other than that, there's not very many changes. It's, like I said, it's more so just putting the proper titles in now with all the changes that have gone through.
Okay, well, there's no discussion. I'll take a motion for the first reading. Councilor Berry makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried. I'll take a motion for the second reading. Councilor Curtis makes the motion. All those in favor? Now the tricky one, I'll be looking for a motion of unanimous consent to receive third and final reading. Oh, Councilor Rawa jumped in on that one. Nice. All those in favor? Carried. And I'll take a motion for the third and final reading. Councilor Rudick makes the motion. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. So, before we get into council reports. One more. Oh, the council procedure. Okay. Is my
All right, okay. The next bylaw up is the council procedural bylaw. And again, this bylaw was discussed at the legislative meeting last week. And from this bylaw, a few of the changes that are coming forward are due to changes that have were introduced by Bill 20. So the biggest change in here is the definition of electronic communication has been changed to electronic means, and the definition is consistent with the MGA. All references to electronic communication within the bylaw have been revised to electronic means. The definition of meeting has been revised to include hearing as per the MGA. There's a new section, section 5.5 subsection A has been added in accordance with the MGA, section 216.4, subsection 5.1, to restrict council from holding extra public hearings for the same bylaw or resolution. It reads, council may hold only one public hearing on each proposed bylaw or resolution or any part thereof that considers residential developments or developments with residential and non-residential developments under Part 17 of the Act. There's another new section, 25.3 has been added to comply with MGA Section 199, subsection 2.1. Any person may attend a public hearing under Part 17 of the Act by electronic means. Any person wishing to attend by electronic means must file a request with the CAO. And then section 26.1 has been revised to allow council members to attend public hearings via electronic means. And one of the biggest changes in electronic means is electronic means also includes telephone. So it could be, it doesn't have to be by video, it can also be by telephone. And we're just changing some definitions. Senior management has been updated and community services director has been removed from the appendix because we no longer have that position. So those are the changes that were introduced into this new bylaw.
So there is something in here regarding conduct, but it's not a code of conduct.
No, council has we have a code of conduct bylaw that is separate from this.
Where did I remember reading that? It was in here someplace.
Section 6, was it?
Was it 6?
Yeah, section 6, general conduct at meetings.
Okay.
And a lot of what's in section 6 follows Robert's Rules of Order.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that this is not our code of conduct. This is just conduct and how the meeting, how you address the meeting and.
Yes, and it's also in here is how the public is to behave as well.
Perfect. Okay. So, we will look for a motion for the first reading. Councillor Bullock makes the motion. Any more comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carry. I'll need a motion for the second reading. Councillor Levko makes that. All those in favor? Carry. And again, the motion for unanimous consent, Councillor Barry. You've done many of those. All those in favor? Carry. And motion for the third and final reading. Councillor Werwa makes that. All those in favor? Carry. Thank you. So, the question I have now that we're moving on to council reports, how many more bylaws and procedures do you think you can fit in before the election? Like, we like the challenge.
How many more meetings do we have left?
Really, is it the need that much that, you got one?
There's a few bylaws that are scheduled to come forward, just for example, the property tax bylaw, that are gonna come forward, but we managed to pass a lot of policies one year, and when they have a review date of every 3 years, then they come around the same time too. So, and as we develop new procedures and council gives us new directions, setting those in policies is the best way to make sure that those directions continue on for, until council decides to change them again.
Did you notice that Manager Brownlee took a whole bunch of policies and combined them into one?
Yes.
Okay, I just thought maybe bring that up. Okay, Councillor Bullock.
I guess if we have some money, we better look at our council schedule for July and August.
Don't bring it up. We'll have special bylaw meetings.
Well, I guess what I would say to that is I understand the ones that have to come forward because they're scheduled on a review. But I think we've done a really good job of addressing some of them. And I guess my hope would be, right now, we've made a lot of changes on a lot of things that our residents have to get used to. A lot of development is going on. And I know that the council spends its time and tries to really give thought into new bylaws. I'm talking about these like brand new ones or really big change bylaws. And I think that for me, I would like to see a little bit of hold of these big brand new ones coming through because we have so many things changing in rapid order that the worst thing I like to do, hate to see, is passing of a bylaw that we just turn around and have to amend. We want good ones in place. So for me, I'm hoping to not see new ones addressing issues that may be temporary issues we need to see while we're doing long-term planning and allotting better spaces for things. And so that would just be my thought.
Okay, Councillor Curtis.
Thank you very much. I think it's important that we go through some of these stale dated ones for sure. I think administration did a good job with the mass repeal we did, so we're not updating ones that are probably a bit out of date and out of touch with the town, so it could have been a lot worse, I think, if we had kept all those ones in. So I just know it's important to, you know, if we have a timing of 3 years or 5 years, whatever we decide, that we keep up on it, and it might be a little extra work for us, but it's important.
Guess I didn't get a lot of support. No, and I understand that, you know, as they age out policies and stuff, and then times are changing, especially the way we deal with electronic attendance at meetings and stuff like that. But, it just seems like we've been on a roll, like, for like a couple of years. Well, good.
Well,
Go ahead, CL.
And if I may, there's been some changes at the provincial level.
Yes.
That has forced us to bring, like, for example, the council procedure bylaw, the ability to attend public hearings via electronic means, that is a provincial mandate. We were doing it before, but it wasn't in our bylaw. So now the province states it must be in there. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't have seen this bylaw till the new council term, because we would have sat with the new council to write any changes if needed. So there are some bylaws that are coming your way that we wouldn't be bringing them if we didn't have provincial changes.
Okay. Well, I think we made our point. Subtle, but, okay. Let's start our council reports with Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Your Worship. On March 28th, I attended a workshop. It was as a member of the Assessment Review Board. It's kind of like Bramley in a sense. They have a spring one. They have a spring workshop, and then they'll have another fall one. And they go through kind of the procedures that are required when we're doing an assessment review, or when there's somebody has challenged the assessment on their property. So a lot of discussion on that, an update, run through on that. And then, of course, the enjoyable part is they take and do the legal part, where they go through a bunch of the cases that have happened in the last year or two and how they were resolved and et cetera, and what came from it. So it was quite interesting, and I think it's a good update on the Assessment Review Board. On April the 8th, the Ledge meeting. On the 9th, the Ag Society meeting. I'll just go quickly here on 3 or 4 of the important dates, just so that people keep them in mind. Dash to Summer will be coming up May 30th to June 1st. Father's Day on June the 15th. The Pysanka Festival will be on July 4th to 6th. Medieval Festival is coming back again this year. I think it was a success last year, and that's on July the 11th and 13th. The County Fair, of course, will be 5 days again, the 6th to the 10th of August. And the Corn Maze is scheduled to go September 13 and 14 that weekend, the following weekend of the 20th and 21st, and the final weekend of it will be the 27th and 28th. So there's a few quick dates. On April 11th, I was able to join Councillor Lemko and do the food bank delivery. Always a pleasure to haul a truckload or two of food over to the new facility there. And then tonight's regular council meeting.
Thank you very much. Councillor Lemko.
Thank you, Your Worship. April 4th, I assisted in the pickup of food for the food bank. Again, nice to see the amount of food that was 2 truckloads from one location to the food bank, much needed. April 8th, the Ledger meeting. April 10th, I attended 2 meetings of the MD of Minburn Foundation. The general meeting of the board in the morning, and then the afternoon was the MD of Minburn Building Committee meeting, where we continue to move forward with the, we're at the selection of colors now for the outside and the inside and all that. As we move forward, should we be successful with our grant, and if we aren't successful in the first submission, we'll be more prepared for the second and possibly third submission. We're just keep our fingers crossed it will be on the first submission. As well, on the 10th of April, I attended the Subdivision Authority meeting here to discuss a little bit moving forward with the taking 3 acres out of our urban reserve, west end of town, and moving forward with that rezoning and what that is. So there'll be a public hearing coming up. April 11th, food bank pickup, again at No Frills and Walmart with my good friend, Councillor Barry. 14th, Tourism Advisory Board meeting, that was today, and I'll let the chair, Councillor Curtis, talk about the highlights of that meeting. Pardon? I don't have to? Yeah. Well, I'll just jump in if there's something that you missed. And tonight's council meeting, Your Worship, thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Rudick.
Since we last met on March 26th, I had a Vegreville Transportation Services Society meeting. Folks may have noticed a few things in local social media. First was the tendering of the old van and ramp, and so those sealed bids will be reviewed and an offer will be accepted because there's a new van that's in operation and fully operational and don't need 2 of them at this time. And there's a few other things as they're working through some of the AGLC snafus, I'll call them, with the challenges of a rural casino and the amount of money or lack therein that you get from a casino as one of the major sources of funds for being able to offer the transportation services. April 4th, happy to join Councillor Lemko and Your Worship to do the food bank pickup. Appreciate the participation and the support of the public and our local businesses that provide the food to the food bank. April 8th, Legislative Committee meeting. On the 10th, last week, we had the MD Minburn Foundation meeting. Again, as Councillor Lemko alluded to, there's an ongoing conversation that continues alongside the regular operations of the facilities, but the building committee is a separate committee, and the business at the lodge continues to be ongoing. There are some good pieces of news in terms of some of the funding that we have from the province in terms of being able to maintain some of the facilities. So there has been some catch-up funding that has been provided to be able to take care of some of the other facilities that we manage outside of the community, because Homestead Lodge is just one of some of the other properties that we manage on behalf of the province in other communities in Innisfree and Manville, for example. And some of the changeover in residents and number of folks therein. So that's always a pleasure to be able to be part of that work there. And there is some new furniture in the facility that has been donated from another body, and I believe it was actually the province of Alberta. Some of the furniture that was at the Alberta Innovates Center as they renovated some of the provincial assets were released to nonprofits in the community, and the MD Minburn Foundation was happy to accept some of those donations, including a new boardroom table. April 11th, I attended as a volunteer to my first ever ham bingo on behalf of VTSS. It was a full house, busy place. Apparently everybody likes a ham bingo leading up to Easter, so for that evening's volunteering, VTSS was able to secure over $2,000 from the evening's event. So it was a good opportunity. There were a lot of people that attended that don't usually attend bingo that like to be able to support a local charity nonprofit like that. So again, using the Sunshine Club as a community gathering point was really great to be able to see a lot of people that are outside of the community coming to an event like that. And tonight's council meeting, and that's it.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rawawa.
Thank you. I was away for a little bit of the time, so my main meeting's coming back on April 1st. I went to a chamber meeting, and I just wanted to remind that, of course, a lot of our meetings are focusing on the upcoming 50th as well as just some upcoming fundraisers. So just kind of reminding everybody again to mark your calendars for July 26th, which is the date of the celebration for the Pesanka. And as well, June 6th is their golf mixer. So the RSVP date to the chamber email is May 30th for that. And again, it's 9 holes. You can register as a team or you can register individual, but just wanting to send a shout out to anybody who's interested to get their teams in. And that's the primary for the chamber. On the 8th, I was at the legislative meeting. On the 10th, I attended the subdivision authority meeting and tonight's council meeting. And I just have one more item I just wanted to mention. Just prior to the meeting, I actually received a letter from the junior Bs, and it was addressed to myself as well as the rest of council, but it came to my email. So because we didn't have it ahead of time and because manager Kuzmik isn't here, I'm going to forward it to everybody in admin right after the meeting. And they just have some of their asks again that were in the previous one, primarily the 3 regarding logo, room space, as well as some discussion again about an ask for users agreement. So I just want to give everyone a heads up. And I'm respectfully requesting that it be put on the legislative meeting agenda, just so that we have that discussion. Primarily, I know when they had sent in before, we had committed that once the season was over, we'd sit down and have, a talk again about some of their asks. And I know for planning, whether it is minor hockey, junior Bs, or any of our user groups, a lot of the stuff we think of them as doing it in September or August, but further planning for their recruitment, sometimes they want to know ahead of time what they're looking at. So I'll send that to everybody right after. I've been able to just skim it, that's why I saw it there, but I'll get it to everybody, and maybe we can have a discussion on it at the next ledge meeting. And that's everything.
Thank you. Councillor Bullock.
Thank you, Your Worship. On March 28th, I virtually attended the Veterans Memorial Highway Association meeting. So some of the good things that I got out there, they were going to be advocating to get some more pullouts on Highway 36 to make passing more safer in some of the areas that, they're concerned about, from in between here and Two Hills and further north to Lac La Biche and that way. That was one of the really good things I got at the meeting. They managed to take care of some stuff that they were just a little behind on from COVID. They brought that up to speed and got their association status back. So, and they were talking about their new Grow East web tourism website, which seems like they got a lot of work to do, and they've taken on a giant that I think that's a little bigger than the help that they have. So I was trying to make some suggestions, but I got cut off. So anyway, so on April 8th, legislative committee meeting. On April 10th, the subdivision authority board meeting, where we discussed that 3-acre parcel just on the west side of town here. and tonight's town council meeting. That's all I have for now.
Thank you very much. Councilor Curtis.
Thank you. Starting off on the 8th with our ledge meeting. And then the 9th, 10th, and 11th, I attended the Economic Development Conference with EDA, with Your Worship the Mayor, Jameson Brown, and then Kathy Dimitri from Crossroads. It's my second time going to that conference. It is pretty awesome to go and see some of the up-and-coming economic development trends that are going through the province and the country. Some good spin on the tariff issues happening where we can turn them into a positive and potentially have some growth out of them as well. And we had, Vegreville, again, gets its name dropped a lot. We had economist from ATB, and in one of his sessions to the whole group, he spoke about rural prosperity and that Vegreville was on his list of places to watch for and things going on there. So that was awesome to see. Some good networking. I think I'll probably let you speak to the award.
I got an award?
Not you, no. But I'll let you speak to that. Somebody close to home here won an award down there, and I'm sure the mayor would like to speak to that. But yeah, very good conference. Nice to hear Vegreville's name being thrown around in the discussion. Tonight with our tourism board meeting, what do we have here? Canada Day is getting finalized up, reaching out to vendors. Color Run is still going on this year. Vegreville Visual Arts is offering 3 volunteers to help Canada Day this year, which is awesome to see because volunteers are very, very tough to get. Vegreville has been awarded a $10,000 grant to plant trees at our campground from Tree Canada. And ironically enough, it's funded by CN Rail, so maybe they want us to put some trees up around by the track so nobody jumps across. Wi-Fi's coming with MCS Net, hopefully mid-May. We'll have that up and running in the park, so that's what the goal is. Something out of Go East is their guide is gone to print, so it'll be out soon. And they'll have their road game again this year, and there may or may not be a picture of the Pasanka somewhere in or around the front of the cover of the book. So that is awesome to hear as well. And I think that's what I got.
Okay.
That's what I got. That's all. And council meeting tonight.
Thank you very much. Okay, so on March the 25th, I attended the Rotary Club meeting. They've changed their location over to Wild & Company. And was a nice meeting. They had an election, and then really nothing changed too much. They welcomed two new members, I think. I was accompanied by C.A. Ling, who is now a new member of the Rotary Club. I gave them a little bit of talk of what's going on in town and what's been happening, with some rezoning and some subdivisions that's going forward. So they were quite interested. The next day on the 26th, I did an interview with 106.5 The Ranch. Also that afternoon, we had our Crossroads Economic Development Alliance meeting next door. And we were looking at some of the stuff, the data that's been collected and the surveys and the study that was done. And a lot of positive things happening for all the municipalities in that alliance. On the 27th, we had a phone call with John from Provectus Biofuels. And then on the 31st, we had a Teams meeting with Innotech and Provectus. And we seem to be capturing all the synergies that we can through some of the data has been collected and researched through Alberta Innotech and feeding it back through Provectus. And Dr. Jan Selaski was a big part of that. So I want to thank him for all of his help. April the 1st, Jameson and myself went to the city and had a lunch meeting with AJN, the panel guys here, just to see where their project's at. There's been a little bit of a slowdown on the building and the equipment from China, and everybody's getting a little nervous about what is actually going to be happening. Will there be any tariffs in place and stuff when everything shows up? But all in all, it was a pretty positive meeting. On April the 2nd, we had our teams meeting with Alberta Munis. Trina for our towns east represented the towns in the east here, and it was actually, I thought, a pretty good meeting. On the 4th, we did the food bank, and I want to thank Councillor Lemko and Councillor Rudick. It was might be the last time that we'll be delivering to that site. We'll be next door with the ramp and everything will be installed, so it'll be good. And on this April the 7th, I attended my very first Alberta Mid-Sized Town Caucus, and they've grown to 33 already from the 12 original members. There's 83 municipalities in the province that could fall into our population guidelines. So there was some ones that haven't joined yet that were listening in, and again, the main focus is a specialized grant funding for towns for aging infrastructure. Probably we're looking at a 5-year fund that would pay out about $2.1 million a year to the members until we can catch up on some of the stuff that we feel that's very important, and they're not being addressed. So on April the 7th and the 8th, we had 2 different ECDEV meetings, and I'll just leave that where it's at. Hopefully we'll have some announcements coming to this year real soon. And on the 8th, the LEDGE meeting, and then we left for the Economic Developers of Alberta in Kananaskis, and there was quite a few good sessions, breakout sessions there. There's one that I was attending on affordable housing and the different way the people are looking at things, and I was set in for one. It was a co-op, a housing co-op. 23% of all new builds in Sweden today are co-ops. The federal government, through HCMS, no, not HCMS, that's a ship. The housing, yeah, yes, that. They had funding for this, but now that they've spun it off on its own. And if your cooperative has a piece of land ready to go, you can get 100% funding for a co-op. And you can even include the price of the land if you already have the land dedicated that you can purchase this land. And there is some loan forgiveness within that mortgage that you take on. So it seemed a little hippie-ish or whatever to me at start, but the more I read it, it was, well, really, I mean, a cooperative, but we've seen some other types of housing projects and some infill projects, and some infills that they're targeting in cities' houses and going out to those residents, especially if they're seniors, and saying, like, you could support 8 properties on yours, and if you were to bring the land into play, you could have one of these properties and stuff. So there's all kinds of different ways that nonprofits are looking at different ways to come up with affordable housing. But and as Councillor Curtis did say, there was some again buzz in the room about what is happening in Vegreville, and it's nice to hear that people understand and that we are on the verge of, a big shift in the way we do things here and what our needs are. And it was nice that the government of Alberta, all dependent, like there was, JET was there and Invest Alberta, and they were all very positive about what they're hearing about what's going on in Vegreville right now. So it was we didn't get a room at the site, so driving back and forth every day, up and down a mountain, it's not good, but it was, I would imagine they're renovating some of those rooms. The G7 is coming there. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump is supposed to be there, probably taking the room I was supposed to have, but.
I'm sure. It's a tent.
Yeah, it was a small room. And then we had another meeting up there, a Teams meeting with our MLA, with Provectus, and putting a game plan together about where we're at right now with the GOA and how things are moving along. So we updated her, which was good. And then tonight's council meeting. So Oh, right, Bob Pispoco, a former ActDev manager here in the town of Vegreville, who is with Alberta Hub prior to his employment here, and we went back there, did win Economic Developer of the Year, or mentor, and it was well received. It was nice to see Bob get some recognition for what he's done with the ActDev in his whole career, and he got a standing ovation in the room, so it was quite nice. So, and then tonight's town council meeting. So if there's no other business, oh, there is.
I just like to report that I can take notes, but I can't read. But fortunately, I can also report that people do watch our YouTube, because an email popped up, and apparently I said June 6th for the golf mixer. It is June 19th. I'm correcting it, since people actually watch, and I can't read apparently. Yes, thank you.
Amendment.
I want to amend myself.
You can't amend the Fourth Amendment.
Yes,
Okay.
June 19th.
I would, so that's it for our meeting, so we do have one closed session item, so I would take a motion to go into closed session. Councillor Curtis makes the motion at 8:40. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you.